It's Peter Hammer, and I'm going to be your MC today for the Q&A session on Haze. I'd like to begin this Q&A with having you simply introduce yourself and what your role is in Free Radical.
Hi everyone, I'm Dave Doak, one of the founders of Free Radical and a director there. So I've been with the company from the start, and great to be over here at Paris to talk to you guys about Haze.
Alright, well, can you also tell us a little bit more about Haze? What's the story behind it, the scenario?
So the story of Haze is it's 2048, so 40 years in the future, and the UN is no longer involved in peacekeeping around the world, NATO likewise. So this global corporation, Mantle, with its private army, is running international peacekeeping. And in the game, there's a war in South America where some rebels have taken control of the country, and Mantle have been sent in to sort it out. You play a character called Shane Carpenter, who's this is his first real taste of being in the field with Mantle. He's a guy who wants to do the right thing, wants to be a good soldier, and wants to make the world a better place.
It sounds like a really incredible story. How does it work with the gameplay?
One of the things about Mantle is that they provide their soldiers with the best technology to fight a war. And so Shane's going into battle with great weapons, great vehicles, great guys fighting with them. Mantle make a lot of things. They also make medicines and pharmaceuticals. So we have this really cool thing called Nectar. And this is Mantle's nutritional supplement, performance enhancer, which they allow their troopers to use in the field. The idea there is that it makes them faster, better, more agile, great troopers in the field. Through the game, you get to use Nectar. It's under player control, so whenever you want to juice up to give you that extra buzz, you can take some Nectar. But in the course of the game, the story, through Shane's eyes, he starts to see things about the war that he's in and about Mantle, which begins to cause him to question what's going on and whether or not the reality around him is as it seems.
Do you see something as Nectar being something that could exist in the perceivable future?
It's all too possible. There are many rumours that in the Vietnam War, people were using mind-altering. There was some sanctioned and some unsanctioned mind-altering substances at work there. And there are rumours that some of these things maybe were, there were drugs given to people in the Gulf War. But we're not really trying to make a direct commentary on that. But it just seems to us to be a fun fiction to play around with, and the air of possibility that it's a real thing, it supports the fiction and makes it a fun thing to be playing in.
Well, we were introduced to Haze, if I'm not mistaken, at the E3 last year, and since then, what have you been doing? What's the big milestones that you've hit with this game?
So for us, we took the game out and showed people at E3 last year. We've not changed anything about the fundamental underlying story of the game, where we want to take it, the message that we're putting across. But at that time, it caused us to take a look at it, and we had this company, Mantle, but they didn't really have a strong branding, as you would expect. So we've looked at the artistic design of Mantle troopers, the whole way Nectar fits into the whole philosophy of the company, and so we built on that. Also, we had this thing Nectar, which was at that stage something that worked in the narrative of the game, and at the same time as we were looking around thinking, how can we make our game have the gameplay edge in terms of weapons? Do we add more guns? Do we diversify the guns? We thought, no, hey, we've got this Nectar thing, which is really cool anyway. Let's put it on a button so that you've got this boost button with its own kind of risks and rewards associated with it, handed out to the player. So that's really what we've been working on, refining that, and also doing a lot of work on the engine, which is coming along fantastically.
And what would you say differentiates Haze from the other FPS shooters that are coming out in the near future?
I think we've got an absolutely fantastic look to the game. We've got a truly innovative weapon. I mean, Nectar is your best friend, your best weapon, and also, on the multiplayer side, it's a cool thing that feeds into multiplayer where you can play as rebels as well. Another thing which has been fundamental to the design of the game from the start is to have a 4-player co-op. So 4-player co-op campaign in this game is not, it's not a rumour, it's not something that we might be doing, it's something we're definitely doing, and something that you can see in the demo we're doing today. And for me, at Free Radical, we played with some 2-player co-op stuff in the past, putting another couple of guys in there, also making it something you can play online. It just makes, it's like you're taking the story part of the game and making it something which has some durability and you can revisit it, and it's just a big plus all around.
And can you tell us about some of the technology in the game, the engine you mentioned? What are you doing to make Haze just really shine?
So, a couple of years ago now, kind of coming out of our PS2 Xbox development, we basically ripped up the book and went back to square one. And that was a really bold thing for us to do, to not look to middleware for our engine. But I think the results really speak for themselves, because we've built something now which is ours. We can tweak every part of it we want. I think, you know, we're delivering something which is as good, if not better, than what everyone else has got out there. So it's very exciting. Also, on PS3 particularly, we have the control to get as much performance out of that machine as possible. And our guys have got a lot of experience on PS2 over the times that the second sight games, really working down the hardware, and that's the place where we are at the moment, and we're getting very good results.
Okay. A little bit more real life. What were your inspirations behind Haze?
There wasn't really any kind of desire to reflect any kind of real like companies or happenings in the world. We wanted to do a war game. We wanted to do a war game with a story, and that's a very important part of Haze. It's a soldier's story, and you are that soldier, and it's an interesting story. It's not just black and white. It's hazy, it's grey, whatever, as you go through it. I mean, people have been saying to me, well, okay, well, is this some kind of like parody of other multinational companies and things? And it's not a deliberate parody. It's just funny to look out there and see that a lot of this stuff is quite possible. You know, we thought we were doing something which was quite sci-fi, but the truth is it's got parallels in some things you see in the world today, which is good.
And you mentioned the story a lot, so obviously it's really important within Haze. So would you say that this game is a more open or linear progressive game?
When you're playing the game, your moment-to-moment experience is very much under your own control. To have such a compelling story, it's a linear story. I mean, you start off here and things happen, and they take you to the end of the game. But as entertainment, for us, it's important that that story is something that really involves you. So it's yes, it's linear, but you know, film is linear as well. And you know, something like Second Sight, which had an interesting kind of flashback story, was also linear. It was predetermined. I mean, I think linear can be a bit of a misleading word because it implies, you know, just a line and maybe it's boring. It's predetermined, but it's exciting. It's an exciting fiction you'll be involved in, and you'll be second-guessing it all the way through. And part of that as well is getting you, is taking the player to a place where they're just about anticipating something, and it's very rewarding to see the story go in that direction. So you'll feel like, as Shane goes through these 3 days, it's a continuous flow. He's reacting to events, and you'll be coming along with him. Okay,
well, my obvious next question with that is, when will we be coming along with it? When will we get to play Haze?
The game's coming out later this year, which sets some exacting deadlines for us to hit, but we're looking good for it. So we're really excited about that. So yeah, Haze will be along before Christmas.
And on what platforms will we get to play Haze on?
We're leaning on PlayStation 3 at the moment. Our development includes Xbox 360 and PC, but really our big focus for this year is PS3.